This has been a very interesting offseason so far, and this is going to be my reaction to the 2025 offseason, specifically focusing on the Western Conference. Let's talk about it. Before we get started, if you could do me a huge favor and drop a like on the video, and make sure to subscribe and follow me on all my social media platforms so you don't miss out on any future sports content. So today I wanted to focus on two teams in particular, but I want to start out with an honorable mention, and that's going to be the Dallas Mavericks. When healthy, we all know who they are. They have Kyrie Irving, they have Klay Thompson, they have Cooper Flag, who is probably the most anticipated first overall pick in quite some time. He's clearly the favorite for rookie of the year. I would say followed by Dylan Harper. I think he's going to have a productive rookie campaign. If I had to guess for his stat line, I would say probably that 16 to 18 point range, 6-7 rebounds, maybe 4 assists. So we'll call it 18, 7, and 4. I think that would be an excellent rookie campaign for Cooper Flag. And of course, they have Anthony Davis, Derek Lively. They brought back Daniel Gafford. They still have Max Christie, PJ Washington. They have a really good team. But the main reason why I wanted to bring them up as an honorable mention is because of D'Angelo Russell. I think this was a great signing for the Dallas Mavericks. As a Laker fan, I've definitely had my fair share of criticism for D'Lo, and rightfully so. But even the biggest D'Lo hater has to admit a couple things. He's an excellent playmaker, and he can score. Particularly, he can shoot. He's a good shooter, especially from beyond the arc. He's very crafty. He can generate his own offense. He has a knack for getting into the paint and making those awkward kind of floater shots, push shots. You know, he has a good handle, step back mid-range. He can create his own shot from the three, and he's a really good catch and shooter from beyond the arc. So I think this was a really good signing. I think he can set the floor up for pretty much anyone on the team. And if you think about it, even with their current roster, what they were missing was more or less a true point guard type. And I think D'Lo fits that role pretty well. He could be slotted as a really good kind of intermediary point guard / floor general until Kyrie Irving gets back healthy. So I wanted to include them as an honorable mention because even though they're down one of their main superstars, I think with the addition of D'Angelo Russell, they can still be a threat to not only make the play-in, but even so, if they can stay healthy, they can be a threat to land a seed in the playoffs. So I just wanted to get that out the way. Now, in terms of the main team, we're going to start with a team that has been the bane of my existence as a Laker fan for the past few years, the Denver Nuggets. Denver has had a great offseason so far. And I think the front office has done an amazing job of showing that they care about their superstar and they want to continue to build a team around him to contend for a championship. And it all started with them trading Michael Porter Jr. and a future first-round pick for Cam Johnson. Now, when I first got the notification from Shams, I immediately thought the Denver Nuggets got better. But I had a second thought too. My instinct was to think that they also got younger with this trade. But that's not true. Cam Johnson is actually older than MPJ. Cam Johnson's 29. MPJ is only 27. But if you think about it like this, I think the reason why my brain was triggered that way is because if you look at their injury history, I think Cam Johnson's body is essentially younger than MPJ's, if that makes sense. It all started with Michael Porter Jr. With his lower back injury. So I know some of y'all remember when MPJ was coming out of high school, he was supposed to be that dude. 6'10", super long wingspan, freakishly athletic. He could score at all 3 levels. He could play make, and he had an NBA-ready jump shot. But when he suffered that lower back injury, that's where he started to regress from essentially a potential perennial all-star, maybe even a superstar talent, to more so that 3-and-D, prototypical 3-and-D wing, more emphasis on the 3 ball, obviously. He's a great shooter. That jump shot is not going anywhere. But where I think Cam Johnson can continue to help this team in comparison to MPJ is in 2 aspects. The first being on the defensive end. I think Cam Johnson is a lot more consistent defensively than MPJ is. I think he is very versatile. He can guard 2 through 4 essentially, and he's shown a lot of improvement in the defensive end as well. His defensive rating is slightly above average, but when you consider that can be grossly affected by the team that you're playing on, he's been playing for the Brooklyn Nets, which haven't been very good. So when you insert him into a championship caliber lineup, I think his effectiveness on the defensive end is going to multiply, that much more. Secondly, they're both great shooters. Cam Johnson is a really good shooter, but I think Cam Johnson is going to offer more consistency as a 3-level scorer. With MPJ, you already know what he can do from beyond the arc. He's an absolute sniper, and he's a pretty good shooter in mid-range as well. But when you push him inside the elbow, that shot can become a little bit more inconsistent. He doesn't have a lot of array of moves. He's not very comfortable finishing that close to the rim. Cam Johnson is a lot more consistent in that aspect. So those are the 2 biggest differences that I think Cam Johnson can bring to that team and why, in my opinion, it was an immediate upgrade. When you think back to this past postseason and you see how the OKC and Denver series played out, there were 2 things that were very apparent. First off, you had MPJ, who was nursing a shoulder injury. He was injured again. Aaron Gordon was basically playing on one leg. He had a bad hamstring. And Nikola Jokic was gassed. His tank was empty. He had nothing left to give. And the front office did a great job of addressing both challenges to this roster, starting off with essentially depth. Not only did they trade for Cam Johnson, so they immediately upgraded their starting five, but they signed Bruce Brown. Bruce Brown is a proven 3-and-D wing / point of attack defender. If you remember, he was part of the 2023 championship team for the Denver Nuggets. So he has a lot of experience with this franchise. They couldn't keep him on payroll, so he left, got his bag. He had an unfortunate injury, and now he's at a point of his career where he's able to re-sign with the Denver Nuggets on a favorable contract. So they basically both just looked at each other like, yo, you trying to make another run? And he said, absolutely, let's do it. So I think Bruce Brown was an excellent pickup. And they signed Tim Hardaway Jr. He had a great campaign last season with the Detroit Pistons, and he has proven himself to be a knockdown three-point shooter. You can argue he's like a 3-and-D guard. He does compete defensively, but his defense is not a strong suit. I think the Denver Nuggets primarily signed him to be that 3-and-D shooter, just that knockdown. You know, Nikola Jokic is going to find you, knock down the shot, which he's proven to be pretty reliable at, both in the regular season and playoffs. And that's what the plan is. Nikola Jokic, he's the best player in the world, and they want to surround him with defense and shooting. So I think they addressed that depth issue. They have two proven players that can contribute in the playoffs in case somebody goes down, or just additional depth, in general. Now, the last thing that they did, which addresses my previous point in terms of Nikola Jokic being gassed, they traded for Jonas Valanciunas, which was a great move. Valanciunas is not a game-changing center, but he is a proven backup center who could provide valuable minutes to give Jokic some rest, and he's a great rebounder, gives you some output on the offensive end, not great defensively, but again, he's good enough to be serviceable, so that way when Jokic comes to the bench, he can still be productive and keep that unit going. Even though Valanciunas is at a crossroads right now, we've heard reports stating that he got a pretty desirable contract from a team overseas, and it seems like that's where he wants to go. But the Denver Nuggets aren't really budging on that. They made the trade. They want him to honor the contract. So however that situation is going to play out, but if we assume that he's going to be with the Nuggets next season, it's an excellent addition and something they desperately need, which is just a legitimate backup center to provide valuable minutes off the bench when Jokic tries to get some rest. That's it. So that's pretty much the Denver Nuggets offseason in a nutshell. I think they did an excellent job. They definitely get an A+ from me. And let me know what you think in the comments. I personally don't know how they could have done any better. But if you got any ideas, again, let me know in the comment section. The next team I want to talk about is the Houston Rockets. They are going to be a fun team to watch next season. They had a pretty good regular season, and they made it to the playoffs. They went up against the Golden State Warriors, and they pushed them to 7 games. And this is with a team whose half-court offense was pretty much non-existent. So you take a young, talented, but wildly inconsistent Jalen Green, along with a 3-and-D wing in Dillon Brooks. He's still a pretty good defender, not quite what he used to be, and I think his 3-ball can be a little inconsistent. So you take those two players, and you combine that to get Kevin Durant. Not only an all-time great, but arguably the greatest half-court scorer the NBA has ever seen. This is a perfect fit, match made in heaven, in my opinion. You have two viable options now between Kevin Durant and Alfred Şengün. One who can score around the basket as just a highly skilled big, and of course Kevin Durant, who can score at all 3 levels. Even to this day, he's not in his prime, of course, but even now he could easily get you 25, 5 and 5 on 50, 40, 90 shooting. He is a 50, 40, 90 perennial threat. Absolutely. There's no question about it. So their half-court offense, in my opinion, that issue has been completely solved. You still have Fred VanVleet, who is, a lot of people forget, is a championship point guard. Very experienced. He has great intangibles. He can be the leader for that team. You have Amen Thompson, who is just a freakish athlete, young, very talented. He is an elite perimeter defender. And not to mention, when it comes to guard, he is elite in terms of rim protection. One of the best, if not the best in the league. And his offensive game is improving. He can get downhill. He's skilled. He has a good handle. He can get to the bucket. Once his jump shot starts falling, forget about it. In my opinion, you're looking at a future superstar. He could be a perennial all-NBA, all-defensive player, year in and year out, which is crazy. They signed Clinton Capella, who I think was a really smart addition. Steven Adams is a great backup center, but as we've seen, his health can be an issue. He's been injured, and he missed quite a few games even last season. So if Steven Adams goes down, you have someone who is experienced, not quite what he used to be, but still fairly athletic. He plays above the rim. He protects the rim, and he's still a really good rebounder in Clint Capella. So he's pretty much all you need in terms of a backup center. And not to mention, they just have a plethora of just young, talented wing defenders, athleticism, you name it, with Trey Eason. And they signed Dorian Finney-Smith. That was a bit of a heartbreaker for me as a Laker fan. I was sad to see him go. I'm a big fan of his game. He is what you want in terms of a 3-and-D wing. He's a little bit older now, but he's still a solid defender, very versatile. He can guard essentially 2 through 4, and we've even seen him guard 5, and he can knock down the 3 ball. My favorite thing about Dorian Finney-Smith in terms of his game is he makes winning plays. A lot of times his stat sheet will not, blow your mind. It's not going to stand out, but you can see he makes an immediate impact in terms of winning. He makes those winning plays. And not to mention, they still have Jabari Parker, who's another great young player. I would imagine Jabari Parker would be starting. If it were up to me, well, I would imagine you would have Fred VanVleet at the point, Thompson at the 2, KD at the 3, Jabari Parker at the 4, and Şengün at the 5. I think that makes sense. Which is, look, this Rockets team, I'm telling you, they're going to be a lot of fun to watch. I'm definitely going to keep tabs on them this coming season. So those are the 2 teams that I wanted to focus on in this video, and obviously with the honorable mention, the Dallas Mavericks. But I think those 2 teams really stood out in terms of having just an excellent offseason and putting your teams in position to contend for a championship. The Western Conference is going to be a bloodbath next year. It's going to be insane. I thought it was bad this past season. Next year, it's going to be crazy. You still got Minnesota. Obviously, you still got OKC, the Lakers, who... Even though we signed a starting caliber center, we still got some work to do. But either way, my point is the Western Conference is going to be so dangerous, man. Let me know what you think in the comments. Who do you have favorite to win the Western Conference next season? Which is, for me, it's a toss-up between OKC, Denver, and Houston. I have no idea who's who to favor. But if you do, let me know in the comments, man. And I'd love to hear why so we can talk about it. Thank you so much for watching the video. That's pretty much going to do it for me. If you enjoyed the video, again, please drop a like and make sure to comment what your thoughts are. And if you would like a part 2, I can kind of be more specific when it comes to the Eastern Conference as well. That's what I had planned. But obviously, I want to see how this video does. If you guys enjoy this type of commentary and you want to just hear me talk about the Eastern Conference and where I see that going for next season, let me know in the comments and I'll make it happen for you guys. Once again, thank you so much for watching. Please make sure to subscribe, follow me on all my social medias, and I'll catch you on the next video. Take it easy.